Hold on, guys. Just want to make sure we're recording. Okay, I'm not sure if we're just having technical difficulties with the streaming, but like I said, we're going to record. So that's all that matters. Okay. I'm so excited to be here, you guys. As you can see, I'm logged in as Alyssa Shoemaker. I'm not Alyssa Shoemaker. My name is Stephanie Proud. I was Stephanie Chico for a while, and now I'm Stephanie Proud. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my story as we get started, but I'm super excited for the topic today just because it's close to my heart. If you guys have questions while I'm talking, everybody's muted, but you can definitely comment in the chat. I'll come back and circle back afterward for some Q&A. If we have some time, we should. I'm hoping to keep it short and sweet because I honor your time just as much as I honor mine. So we're going to talk tonight about establishing your why, rolling with the punches as your why changes, because sometimes our lives change and sometimes a why is no longer relevant, or we accidentally mix up our why with our goals and they're not necessarily the same. So we're going to dive into that. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my story. My name is Stephanie, co-founder of Team Fitspiration. I signed up back in October of 2012. So it's been it feels like a lifetime, basically, like the better part of a decade. It'll be 8 years in October. And I have to kind of back up a little bit because this is my first big webinar in a really long time. I'm extra excited and it's extra special for me. So we have this sign up sheet for these Slay Squad webinars. You guys may or may not know that, you know, we all collaborate and take turns presenting. And so a few months ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to pick a really far out date. And I picked this date, hoping and praying that I'd be in a place mentally and emotionally to add value. I even really visualized this topic. I set the topic when I signed up because that's what I really was manifesting at that time. Just super relevant in my life. I had kind of lost track of my why. I had sort of lost track of what I was working towards in this business because I had achieved a lot. So we're going to get into kind of the different facets of your why, setting your why, maybe why you're not connected to it. Maybe you're newer in the business and you don't even have one yet. So we're going to kind of dissect all those little facets of establishing your why. And I just really prayed and hoped that by this magical date that I had written down on the calendar that I would have the heart and reflection for presenting about something that I didn't even really have for myself a few months ago. So to give a little bit of a backstory, like I told you guys, I became a coach in October 2012. I had dabbled a little bit in MLM before. I had done like a jewelry company and did the whole trunk show setup and like sold necklaces. And I kept watching a couple of my friends who were Beachbody coaches. And I was like, I purchased Shakeology from one. I got started with the workout programs after having my third little one in 3 years. And I watched my friends and I was like, this is genius, first of all, right? I mean, the coaching business is genius. I watched as my Shakeology order went back through and my coach earned a commission from that. And I was like, this is genius. There's no HD for necklaces in the company that I was doing. So I watched my coach Brandy I remember the big aha moment for me after she had invited me a million times. And I watched her buy a double Bob jogging stroller. You guys, any moms on know what those are? Very expensive strollers, and she paid cash for that. And at that point in my life, I was like, that's crazy. And it was very relevant to me. I'm like, I would love that kind of a stroller. Like that's like a Porsche of a stroller. So I joined, long story short, and was Emerald in my first 3 weeks, Diamond in my first 3 months, and then I kind of chilled for a little bit. I feel like I built quickly because I was very goal oriented. That's kind of just who I am. When I set a goal and I put it on the calendar, I really make sure that that happens. And obviously sometimes things change and you have to change the date or whatever, but I was very goal oriented. I hadn't necessarily established a why yet. And I went to my first summit, which was in Vegas that year. I loved when I was in Vegas, so much fun. And I remember watching presenters on stage and people sharing their stories and success stories and hearing these financial freedom stories. And I just thought, okay, this is it. Like I figured it out. I figured out my why. I realized that change for my family was literally in my hands, and I took it and ran with it. So my first summit, I was 1-star qualifying, and by, gosh, that was July. So by October, we were a 5-star diamond elite team. So we finished the year elite before the year was even over, which was huge and so exciting. And if you guys are trickling in now, you can go ahead and mute yourselves. Make sure that I get very easily distracted. So that was my very first summit, and it really grew from there. I mean, I went on to, we were an elite team multiple years in a row. By 3 years into the business, we were in the Million Club and / Legacy Club, whatever we're calling it these days. And we were just riding a huge high as a team. And so within that time frame too, within these 8 years nearly of being a coach, I set those types of goals. Like, I want our team to be elite. I want to represent this team as elite. I was on coach advisory board. It was all of these things that it was like the vision board goals were being checked off. We went from a 1-car family to a 2-car family, built a home, paid off debt. It was an incredible time. Truly, very, very proud. And I just saw, I don't know if you guys are numbers people, but I just saw obviously the participants number is climbing, but it was 333, and I feel like that was a sign. So I just saw that number and I had to share. So in a nutshell, this topic is really near and dear to my heart because after going through a really rough divorce this last year, I was left feeling very lost in my connection to my business. And that this is truthfully not the first time that I felt disconnected from my why and my purpose in this business, and like, what am I chasing, and maybe you guys have been in the business for a little bit of time, and you're like, yeah, I mean, I remember when I hit diamond or whatever, that I was so focused on that. And once I achieved it, I didn't have anything else that I was going for, right? Like, what's next? Like, I achieved the big thing that I thought felt so far away, and like I put on my vision board and I visualized it and I did it, and then now what? And so I had been in that space before, but this past year was, if you guys have been through divorce, it is just kind of strips you of your identity and you just really don't know what's next. So, and it's not because I didn't still believe in this business and what I had to offer as a coach. I just, and Lord knows my workouts were literally like my therapy, my outlet. But it's just because my life had changed so much and I hadn't really allowed my why to shift with those changes. So, and I'm going to get into that too. I felt like all along I had strived for this picture perfect life and achieved it. And then there was still this disconnect in my heart. So I'll dive more into that disconnect too, but I just really want to make sure that if anybody on here is feeling like they're in that place of transition, where you're not sure what you're working towards or for or because of, you've come to the right place. So it's okay to be unsure, and my hope is really that you can leave this meeting, even if only a couple people, or even if you guys use this Zoom as a tool for somebody else maybe who's going to feel like this in some way in the future, that you leave this Zoom feeling a little bit more sure. So we're going to dive in, and let me just scroll up, make sure. Oh, I love that you saw 3332, Jessica. Yep, angel numbers. Big believer. So we're going to dive into establishing your purpose or your why. I'm going to kind of use purpose and why interchangeably. So you guys will hear me say both, but I want you to visualize the same thing when I say either or. Your purpose and why versus passion. Okay, so first of all, we can't lead people without people following us. And I'm not talking about like followers on Instagram. That's all fine and good. I'm talking about building a team of like-minded people who are all focused on the same mission. So we can't lead without a follower, a following. And if we aren't connected to a deeper purpose or a mission or a vision, we will not have followers. So I can almost guarantee that anybody on this Zoom meeting, you did not sign up to be a coach and decide to learn the ropes and sacrifice your time and set business hours and get on webinars like these, for example, because you saw the person you signed up with on social media, like kissing their Shakeology cup or something. And that's funny because we used to do that. I don't know if anybody's been around here, since the beginning of Instagram marketing, but literally we did that, and I'm a little embarrassed for all of us, but it's okay. But I guarantee that you did not sign up with that person because of that. You signed up with the person you signed up with because that person was overflowing with this purpose. And maybe you were following multiple coaches, but that person's story, whatever they were sharing, whatever mission they were on, however they were presenting themselves and sharing, that's what you connected with, right? So their purpose was that connective tissue for you to say, yes, I want to do this too. So they were overflowing with that purpose, right? You know, those coaches who just like, they are so in it, you follow them and you're like, God, yes, like she just knows what she's working toward and it's infectious and you just want to be all about that. So you grew to believe in the possibility of that person's purpose, right? That you were almost like rooting them on probably. I remember that's how it started for me with my coach. I was like, yes, girl, get it, you know? And then I was like, hey, light bulb, I can probably do this too. And then you decided to set out on connecting to a personal purpose via coaching, right? Coaching is really just our platform to the greater purpose. So it's not the company either. I can tell you guys that 100% with 100% sincerity. Like it's not the company. I feel like we can align ourselves with any company, but there has to be purpose and passion connected to what we have to offer. So it's us really at the end of the day that creates that brand and that belief. I'm following my notes because I have to stay on topic because I am so known to go out on tangents. So some things that help with establishing a why. And we're going to get into some prompts at the end. I definitely hope you guys are taking notes just because I'm going to share some bullet points and some things you can circle back to. I was going to do slides and then I was like, no, I'm not a graphic designer, but that's cute that you wanted to try. So some things that help with establishing a why. What excites me? I think that that's super important. Like we're not going to talk about things and blast them on our social media. And I'm using social media because I know that that's where most of us are building our businesses and marketing. I'm laughing at comments over there. So what excites me? And then what types of things would I do for free, right? I know a lot of people would say that like they would coach for free. And I love that. I love that you would coach for free. I will be the first to tell you that I would not coach for free. I did this because I saw an opportunity for a better financial future, tell my family to pay off debt. Like I saw the opportunity there financially. So no, I would not do this for free. Would I probably be sharing my workouts and like meal tips and recipes for free? Yes, because I genuinely like doing that. And so maybe for you guys, it's more like, I love using this platform because I have an autoimmune disease and I can share. Maybe it's because you're going through an infertility journey and you can share. Like our platform gives us that opportunity, right? So some things that you would do for free are all of those things. I mean, maybe you would coach for free. And if that's true, then I have nothing but props for you because that's amazing. But hopefully you also look at this as an opportunity to earn a really incredible income. These are things that inspire us and what creates passion. And so I wanted to get into passion versus purpose too. So passion and purpose are separate. I think a lot of people use passion when they're talking about their purpose and their why, but they're not quite the same. And I'll tell you why. Passion isn't actionable, right? It's a feeling and it's connected to what inspires us. And it's really important because it's exciting. But purpose is our life's work, right? Whether that be like the current chapter of your life that you're in or the bigger picture, that's your passion or that's your purpose. That's what fuels the action. So purpose is our reason for sacrificing our time, like getting on these webinars, sending messages, responding to emails, all of those things. Like you're not going to necessarily do those things for free. Maybe you're not passionate about answering DMs, but there are parts of this that you're passionate about. But your purpose is what is going to make you want to answer those DMs. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, I bleed all the blue too, you guys. I love that. And yeah, and you're right, there's worse things to be obsessed with, but like that, when you're just dripping with that passion for Beachbody and our fitness and these programs and our products, like that's so authentic and that's amazing. And that's your passion showing through, right? Your purpose is probably not repping for Carl Deichler. As much as we love and adore him, our purpose is what is the bigger picture for our lives. So I hope that makes sense. So it's so important to understand too, some phases of your why. And I'm going to get into that too. So there's 4 stages of your why. And bear with me because I'm going to really break these down. So number 1 starts with a need. Like a lot of people get started in this business because they've got goals, right? They've got goals for their family. They have some debt to pay off. They want to maybe cover their cell phone payment, or they want to cover their rent or their mortgage. This maybe is like a second stream of income. Maybe this is like plan A, and like all eggs are in this basket. So there's a need though to get started. And we're not talking discount coaches, because you guys, if you're a discount coach and you're on this webinar, I love that you're here, but I'm guessing that most of you guys are not discount coaches. So we can just assume that most of us got started in this business because there was a need. For me, it was financial. Like we were in the pits, like literally and figuratively. So I saw an opportunity there. I saw my friends being successful. So I was like, heck yeah, I love this. I'm already using Beachbody products. It's not that I was just jumping in blindly to this business and, you know, hoping that it would work out and people would believe me that I liked it. I already loved it. It was that I had a need for financial gain. Some other examples, I know some people get started because they're desperate to be a part of a community. I know that is equally as important. Maybe it's your health, like maybe it's your wellness and your fitness. Maybe you desperately needed to lose some weight to come back down into like healthy blood pressure, cholesterol range. All of those things, those are needs, right? You had a need, you were like, this is going to help me. So that's phase 1 of your why. Phase 2, I call the achievement phase. So that's an example would be like ranks. So you get into this business, we don't really know what ranks are. I know I certainly didn't. I sat and Googled like what Emerald was, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's smart. I should hit Emerald, you know? So then it was that achievement phase of my why, where I was like, Emerald, sweet, I'm going to do that. Then Diamond, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. And that, maybe some other examples, earning trips. You guys know we have the Success Club trips. We have incentives like Success Starters and going to Summit, prizes for Success Club, like all of those things. That's great. Those are awesome. Those are things, especially short term. And like I said, I'm very goal oriented. So if you guys are like me, you're like, heck yeah, I want the free hoodie. You know, I'm going to work my butt off for that hoodie. So incentives, buying a second car for your family. That was huge for me. Buying a home, building a home, like all of those things. So that's achievement. And this, draw a line underneath number 2, because this is where some people, specifically coaches, stop. So I've been in this business a while. I've seen a lot of people achieve success and like jump to another company. And I'm like, what is going on? And after kind of sitting with that and thinking about what could have possibly been the disconnect for them, like we were talking about over here, lead Beachbody Blue. Like I'm not going to jump into another MLM because first of all, I don't want to start over. Second of all, I cannot even imagine my passion level for this company being the same anywhere else, right? Maybe you guys feel the same. So I notice after that number 2 phase, a lot of people get stuck. So you get caught up in the rat race, you get burned out by the hustle, you're disconnected with what got you started. So maybe you achieved all the needs that you could think of in the beginning. And so now you're like, what am I doing? And so after that kind of line in the sand, the coaches who I believe stay consistent, stay in the saddle, they're consistently elite year after year. These are the people who there is no line between 2 and 3. Number 3 is future focused. You're building a life of freedom. You're maybe working toward a retirement plan, or you've got a college fund plan for your kiddos. You've got stocks and investments. You're helping family members. You're giving to charity. It's those bigger things that are kind of outside of the company, outside of that achievement, where it's not maybe marked by Beachbody. We don't, have a scale for it. It's that future focused mindset, where you're really looking into like what is truly possible. And then 4 is true purpose. And whatever that is, and we're going to hopefully come out tonight, maybe not discovering a why for anybody who isn't really sure what their why is, but maybe we're going to be working toward it after tonight. Maybe we will have some aha moments and we'll discover some whys, and that would be incredible. But true purpose, for example, would be maybe like helping others. I mean, I think I hear that a lot throughout the coaching network. Just like, I'm a helper. Like, I just love to help. And that's my purpose. I just want to live a life of, being a servant to others and really adding value. Maybe it's like seeing your downline coaches see success. I mean, there is no greater joy than seeing your personally sponsored coaches or downline coaches achieving big things in their business. Like that's the ultimate goal, right? Maybe it's financial success, maybe it's business success, maybe it's the big stuff like paying off their home. I mean, that's like incredible to be able to see that. Personal growth, passion for health, like all of those things. Maybe you want to go on to be a nutrition coach, like a life coach. Like these are all things that fuel your true purpose. And so that's the fourth stage of your growth phase of your why. So most importantly, bottom line with those four phases is to stay in the space of connection to your purpose at all times. So it's not going back to the need is important, but the needs are going to change. The goals are going to change, all of that. Staying connected to your true purpose and really evolving into that fourth phase and staying there, that is where true consistency and longevity happen in this business. So what happens when my why is not fueling me anymore? Okay, I told you guys truthfully, I've been there. I'm going to wet my whistle for a sec. So happened to me, it has happened to me, not once, not even twice, maybe multiple times, I'm not even sure. And it's happened to other people. So if you guys are feeling that, I get it. Like it's natural and it's okay. And you've got to give yourself grace. I've got to say that. I feel like I say that all the time because I'm probably usually telling myself to have some grace for myself. So I'm giving you that gift also. Have some grace for yourself. And maybe you're not, like I said, I know we have coaches of all phases on this webinar right now. Maybe you're like, how could I be disconnected from my why, or how could my why not fuel me anymore? Like I'm just starting. Okay, so put this in your back pocket just in case. You can either use this as a leader or you can use this when you maybe experience it down the road yourself. So oftentimes it's not that our why is no longer fueling us, it's that we had a goal and not a why. So kind of like how passion and purpose are separate, goals and whys are separate also. So you have to be really careful not to mix up a goal with a why. I know a lot of, or I shouldn't say that, that's a big generalization. I have heard over the years people say my why is building a house for my family one day. I'm like, that's not your why, that's a goal. And that's an incredible goal to have, right? Like some other examples are, I want to be a diamond coach, I want to be an elite team, or I want to build my dream home, like I just said. Those are amazing. Put them on your vision board, but that's not your why, right? That's not like your life's purpose, like we just kind of talked about. And this is really common early on. Like I definitely did that too. I was like, I want to be this. I'm like, that's great. But once you achieve that, what is next? So goals are achieved and then new ones are set, right? But we don't necessarily achieve why. Like you don't achieve it. There's no finish line for your why or your purpose. Does that make sense? Hopefully. I feel like I'm getting messages. I just want to, everybody can hear me, right? Everybody okay with feed and everything? I just want to double check. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. So, have you guys ever heard the saying, I wish I knew who said it, maybe you guys know, what got me here won't get me there? I feel like that's been like rattling around in my head lately, and it's just so applicable to this because sometimes the why changes, like life changes, life happens, life evolves, and so does our why. Like our purpose doesn't necessarily change, our why doesn't necessarily change, but the way we get there is going to change. And so we've got to roll with it. And when we're disconnected from our why, maybe either A, it wasn't clear enough, it was a goal instead of a why, or we got disconnected from the belief system. We got disconnected from the passion, those feelings that help us achieve the greater goal. Does that make sense? Okay. It's kind of like doing, if you did Turbo Fire back in the day and you got I think Melissa McAllister just shared a great picture in her Instagram. It was like her after picture after she did Turbo Fire or Turbo Kick. She was in the program. And then all these years later, like doing whatever she's doing now. It's like she looked incredible before, but to get the results she has now, she changed it up, right? Like she is fire. She looks incredible. So just the same as like the goals that got you here are not going to be the goals that get you there. So connecting to the greater purpose is always what's going to get you there. Yes. Okay. I'm so glad that you can hear me, that this is speaking to you. And like I said, I'm trying to keep this kind of short and sweet, and we're doing so good. My goal was 30 minutes. So to wrap up, I wanted to leave, I'm not always the best with like action steps. Like I can preach and talk all day, but I was really, really adamant to myself about wanting you guys to leave with some action steps. So if you're in this space where you don't know what your why is, you're not connected to your why, you don't have that clear purpose, or you need to reconnect to it, or you're a brand new coach and you don't even know what your why is. I feel like maybe I said the same thing a couple times there. Hopefully you guys are following. So I want you guys to write down some questions and sit on them tonight, and maybe journal it out, really think about it, talk to your spouse about it, talk to a fellow coach or best friend, if you're kind of stumbling through these. But there are 5 questions that I want you guys to really ask yourself and write down your answers so you have them in front of you and you can circle back, maybe even share with a friend so they can call you out. If you're ever having that day where you're like, man, I don't know, like, I don't know if this is gonna work for me, or I'm having a rough day, I don't know if I believe in myself today. So you can circle back, right? You can see this, and your friend can even say, hey, but remember, number 1, your answer. Okay, so number 1 is, why am I a coach? Like really, why did you sign up? What got you started in the first place? Okay, number 2 is, what did I see from my coach that inspired me to become a coach? And I want to thank you. Marshall Goldsmith said that. I am so glad to know that. So what inspired my coach to become a coach? What inspired me to become a coach from what I saw my coach displaying on social media? And this is helpful because maybe that will help you connect to the people who are following you. So what worked for me? Like, how did I get started? What attracted me to this business? How can I offer that to my followers? Number 3, what brings the most joy to my life? I just feel like if we're not living a joy-filled life, like what is the point? So what brings you the most joy? And sometimes our purpose is in that joy, right? It's so simple. Number 4, are there things, I can't even read my own writing. Are there things that I love doing that literally make me lose track of time when I'm doing them? Maybe it's like creating content. I mean, that's one thing I've learned that I really love. I love words. I love to write. Like I can get lost in that. And when I'm like, I can turn maybe this aha moment for my personal development into a thought that I can share with my social media following. That's great. And that makes me feel like I'm adding value. So maybe you guys identify with that too. Maybe it's just pretty pictures. Maybe you love doing IGTVs and these things bring you joy, or you lose track of time when you're doing them. Maybe it's like creating recipes, like those things that bring you joy. There is your purpose is in that joy. Okay. And the things that make you lose track of time, there's purpose in those things too. Number 5, what does a perfect world look like according to me? So your perfect life, like what does that look like? And really that one should be long. You guys, I'm hoping we'll write multiple paragraphs because you're really visualizing and just word vomiting, like what does your perfect life look like according to you, not according to society's standards, anybody outside of you, your heart, your spirit. Like sit with that and really think about that. And then to take it even one step further, are the things that you're doing today in your business things that will help you live that life that is perfect according to you? So these are all things that help us connect or reconnect to our purpose. And whenever we're kind of struggling or we're, teetering, let's all just make a promise, a vow right now that we'll circle back to those 5 action steps and those questions that we can ask ourselves so that we can kind of dig a little bit deeper and make sure that we're on track, right? It's tough. Like there are hard days. The world is crazy right now. But as long as we're connected to that purpose and what brings us joy, I feel like that's when the belief just drips from us. That's when we're able to share that value with other people and be the light. Like, oh my gosh, right now, so many people are hiding on social media. And I'm like, no, like now is not the time to hide. So I'm so glad you guys are answering these. Yes, why am I a coach? Okay, let me go back through just so you guys have them. I'll put them in the group too, the Slay Squad group. Why am I a coach? 2 is, what did I see from my coach that inspired me to become a coach? Number 3, what brings the most joy to my life? Number 4, are there things I love doing that literally make me lose track of time when I'm doing them? And I mean literally, like actually literally. And number 5, what does a perfect world look like according to me? Okay, do you guys have any questions? Like I said, I will share these prompts in the group. Yes, Barbie, I'm so glad I could follow you way back in the day. Well, I still follow you, but you know what I mean. I had you as an example early on in my coaching career. Okay, you guys, I'm not seeing any like pressing questions or anything like that. So I hope that this spoke to you. So much fun to be able to speak on this and dive a little bit deeper. Yeah, absolutely. Just get back to the basics. Sometimes we have to revisit that, especially like right now, this is the halfway through the year mark. You know, the first was, we're halfway through, and we can look at it like, oh man, half of the year's already over. Or we can look at it like we still have a whole half of a freaking year left. Like that's a lot of time to do some big, amazing things. So the first half was bonkers for sure. All right, you guys, take care. So thankful that you all jumped on. Have a great first Monday night of the month. Take care, guys.